You're listening to the Shoot Your Shot podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Jen, and we are two boss babes sharing our journey and inspiring you along the way.
Today, we are talking all about finding your dream client and the importance of niching down in whatever business you're doing. But first, tell me about your weekend. I know that you had double trailer weekend. You had the second trailer finished.
Yes, I'm still not recovered. It's Wednesday, and I'm not recovered from last week and this weekend, but it was amazing. Somehow we got it done. I am a firm believer of if you have something on your heart and you want to make it happen, you're going to make it happen. With lots of sleepless nights and lots of stress and headaches and wondering how the heck you're going to get it done. But we had 3 weddings this weekend. Friday we had a wedding, which was about an hour and a half away with traffic even longer. So I couldn't even finish working on it on Friday because we had a wedding, which I didn't really plan accordingly to. And then Saturday I was up at 5:50 in the morning. And also I didn't go to bed until I think 2:30 on Friday night.
Yeah. You were rocking 2 hours of sleep.
So literally I was on 2 hours of sleep. Coffee wasn't even doing its job at that point. But we got it done, and I dropped the first trailer off. Thankfully it was in Trumbull in my town.
That's good.
For the first event, and then my girls worked it. They were amazing. Everyone was so happy. It was 125 people, so it was a big event, and they killed it. And then I drove to our event, which again was a little over an hour. And this trailer is much bigger, so I'm not used to driving the bigger trailer yet. And where I had to park was challenging. We actually took it off the truck, and then I realized that I couldn't get my truck out from where I was.
Oh, no.
It was just too close to hitting one of the tent poles or stakes on the ground. And it was so funny. The event planner was like, what if we try to take the stick out of the ground? But it was in there good. It was not moving. And so we had to rehitch the trailer, push it back it was literally I had to move back 4 feet, not even 3 feet, just so I could get out. But that's just the challenge of a new product and a new, everything. But the wedding was amazing. Everything was great. I got home and literally crashed, fully crashed. And then the next day was Father's Day. So I had to wake up, be a good wife, and make my husband breakfast. Oh my gosh. But yeah, we did it. I can't believe we did it. I'm so proud of myself. I'm so proud of my team. I'm so proud of just this was my goal. This was something that I had always seen in my business after the first year. I saw other mobile bars that were expanding, and I was I'm going to expand, and we're here, and we did it, and yeah. So that was my weekend.
That's so exciting.
I know. How was yours?
Good. I had 2 weddings. I had a wedding on Friday with a couple that booked me a while ago. One of the first couples to book me. So it's crazy to be finally doing all of these weddings with the people that originally booked with me, because it just I don't know, the time goes by so fast. I feel that I would be chatting with them forever, and now their weddings are over, and it's what? So super, super sweet family, whole entire family. It was a really great event, and that was on Friday. And then on Saturday I filmed the wedding. In Essex, where I wasn't the photographer at all. I was just there for video, which I haven't done yet, actually. Now that I think about it, all of the videos I've done, I've also been the photographer for, which is a lot of work. So it was kind of nice to not have to worry about the family photos and not have to worry about this or this or this. The photographer is the one that takes the lead on everything. And it was nice to kind of just hang back and solely just document it. I didn't really have to be in charge of anybody. It was actually really, really nice.
You're looking back, you're oh wait, that was really nice.
That was really nice. Yeah, I'm not sure which I like more right now. I have a couple more videos coming up in this year. I think I have 2 or 3 more that are just videography weddings. So we'll see after those what I feel like. But I'm an introvert, so I kind of like videography just a little bit more, just because I don't have to do
you don't have
the
to be
hard things.
In front of everything.
Yeah.
And I get that.
Yeah.
I'm not an introvert, so I get it because I see other people, but I'm action. I am you come to the bar, I'm ready for you. I'm like front and center. Let's go. But that's good. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah,
We'll
thank
see
you. Also expanding a little.
Yeah, you are. That's exciting. So we are going to dive into today's topic. We kind of have two folds to today's topic. We are going to talk about your dream client, how to book your dream client, and really how to like find your niche of your business, because that's something that Megan and I did early on. I think you did a little bit earlier. I'm still kind of figuring it out. But I'll kind of dive in, kind of like talking about finding your niche and your thing in your business. So obviously I'm a mobile bar. We do all types of events. There's literally no limit to the event. I've done weddings of 200 people to first birthday parties of 30 people. So for me, if I'm available and you can afford our services and you want to book with us, I will book anything under the sun. But I have found that my passion, and I kind of knew this early on because I used to be an event planner for Hyatt hotels and I did weddings there. So I just loved weddings. Weddings were always the exciting part because you get to be a part of someone's like huge special day. And as stressful as it is, I feel like the outcome of being a part of someone's big day is the rewarding part that I enjoy.
Yeah, me too.
Like it fills my cup, and I just, there are challenges that can come where you could also ruin someone's day. But for the most part, knock on wood, I think we're pretty good at, our jobs that has not happened. But I think that weddings for me are definitely always going to be a huge part of my business. But that's not to say that I don't book other things either. But the first season was a little hard to book weddings because I was such a new business. I was a unique service that people didn't really understand. A lot of people just booked bars with their catering company. So once they booked the caterer, the bar kind of fell twofold with that. So once mobile bars started coming out, people were so excited to see this, but they had to kind of figure out how it all worked. So my first season, I think we did 2 small backyard weddings, which totally filled my cup. I loved them. I loved being a part of it. The bride and groom got to go in the trailer, take pictures. It was so fun. So I was like, okay, I think this is where I'm going to go, with this business. So I started really marketing myself with weddings. And I got a lot more for my second season. And now this year I have a wedding every weekend, if not multiple. So I definitely think that is the primary focus of my business, but I love backyard events. I love like the summer backyard party. I love if it's an anniversary event or a birthday party or whatever it is. I love the backyard parties. So I feel like I want to book at least one wedding, every weekend. That's my goal. And then fill the other days with other projects.
Right.
Because I want to be booked as much as we can.
Right.
But I think it took, the first season to really realize that weddings were my thing. And I know weddings are your thing. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. I booked everything under the sun, same as you at the very beginning. Did a lot of family sessions, Christmas card photos, a couple cake smash sessions, things like that. But the weddings surprised me. I was just second shooting for some people just to figure out what I liked. I thought I wanted to do it all. And then after second shooting and in that first year being in that environment, I was like, yeah, this is it. Especially figuring out what you want to do. Like a helpful part, at least as a photographer, is the feedback that you get from everybody. Like I felt like I had the most impact, and I felt like I had the best experience and happiest experience working with couples where it was their first time taking photos. They had no expectations. They didn't know what to expect. They just had fun with me and they had an open mind. But people that are already married, have kids, families, maybe like multiple couples if it's like a big family session, all of those guys just want a picture and want to go home. Like they just want their Christmas card picture, everybody to smile and say cheese, and that's it. It's like it's very much you do the service, deliver the product, you go home. Like not really a huge connection, but I really like having that connection. And with newly engaged couples, just because it's so new and such an exciting time, like they really want to bond with you, especially because I'm there their entire wedding day, like the start all the way until the end, like before she gets her dress on until like a sparkler exit or till the dance floor when everybody's too drunk to realize I'm gone. So I don't know. I just feel like I am happier doing weddings, and so discovering that made me realize who my dream client is. And so after you figure out who your dream client is, niching down and marketing to that is the important part. So I don't know. I feel like it's important to kind of separate all of your different avenues. So a lot of photographers who do seniors and also do weddings, they'll make separate accounts, and one that is marketed just to seniors because they don't really want to see wedding photos and vice versa. So I don't know if with you that really is applicable, because I feel like you can post about it all. Like your drinks are going to be maybe slightly different, but the same. Like you make custom menus, but for photography, like showing a portfolio of senior photos to a bride, she's going to be like, okay, I don't really care.
So I think my business, it's funny because two things. I wanted to talk about one thing that you said, how weddings like fill you up and you found that connection and that's what you enjoyed the most about it. And I think that that's where this whole bartending thing has really made me so fulfilled and happy because we are such a huge part of the event.
Yeah.
And I feel like that connection to me is not really the connection going up to it. Like I'm really just working with my client one-on-one. Even for weddings, there's not the connection I used to have when I was the event planner. There's still a connection, but not as much. It's like, okay, here's your alcohol list. Here's the bar supplies. Like we're good. I'll show up at this time. That's it. But at the event is when I'm building the connection with the guests.
You're the life of the party.
Life of the party. And that's what I always was, like growing up. Like my best friend joked, she's like, you need to be an event planner. You used to always plan your birthday parties. That was because I loved being the life of the party. So I feel like now that I can do that in a business setting, I've totally found my thing.
Yeah.
So I love that. And I hope people can find in whatever passion they have, like look at your childhood, like look at what you kind of did growing up. Like how can you fulfill those needs and make it into a career?
Right.
And then other end on like marketing myself, I feel like I lose some clientele for the backyard parties because they think I only do weddings. So it's kind of a flip for me because I feel like I'm probably missing some opportunities because the client who sees me on Instagram or even my website could be like, oh, they do weddings.
Right.
Like they probably won't come to my backyard party, where that's not the case. Like we do backyard parties every weekend. So I feel like I need to find a way to kind of market both and know that I love weddings. We do weddings, but I also love the 50 people in your backyard, and we do that too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like a catch for me.
Yeah. Posting, I mean, because for both of us, most of our inquiries and leads come from social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. So I think posting as much as you can about what you feel like you're lacking in makes a big difference. Like I feel like I'm posting more of my video work on TikTok, and I feel like a lot of those leads are coming through versus like Facebook or Instagram. I don't really post. I feel like I haven't really posted a lot of video work, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just because each social media kind of has a different vibe.
Oh, totally.
Like there was a video that I wasn't as proud of, but I was like, I'm still going to post it. But because I wasn't as proud of it, I felt like it wasn't good enough for Instagram, if that makes sense. So maybe.
Didn't we talk about how the 3 sites are like the 3 children?
Yeah.
And TikTok's like the middle child, or I forget how we like said it, but and like Instagram was like the perfect child, and Facebook was just like the lost child.
But it's true.
It's
true. Like each one has a different type of person on it. Like Facebook tends to be an older crowd. If you wanted to do like reunion parties or 50th birthday parties, like marketing on Facebook is the way to go. But if you want to get like graduation parties, and maybe the graduate is the one that like wants to throw the party, or like I don't want to say like frat party, but like something fun where like they're the ones planning it, TikTok is where you're going to blow up. So totally. I think finding your dream client, discovering your niche, and posting about that niche like solely or more than your others. So I think if like your heart lies more in weddings, then I think you're doing the right thing in posting that more. But I do see what you're saying, where like you could get a Thursday night or a Friday night or something with a backyard party, or like a corporate backyard something.
I was going to say, like, we now having a second trailer, I really want to start getting into the corporate market. So I have to really figure out where I'm going to market myself on that, and where I'm going to find, because that is the dream client right there, because it's not your money, it's the company's money. So they have a little bit more of leeway to create a better experience for the employees. And like right now they're doing a lot of like end of year, summer barbecues and things like that. So it's like the perfect place for me, but I just haven't figured out how to market myself there. So we'll figure it out.
Do you do direct emails to people like wedding planners? Do you like just directly contact and be like, hey, how are you?
I do. So I do that on direct messages on Instagram, which has been really beneficial. I found a lot of really great connections doing that. Can't do that in a corporate background though. So it's like, how do I?
Yeah, I don't know. One of my friends she just graduated college, and so she just landed like her first like big girl job.
Yep.
And it's in some kind of like engineering company or something, but she's not an engineer. She's more like marketing and like digital stuff. And her job is, or part of her job is like planning the parties.
Yep.
Like those corporate parties. So maybe like finding like a staff page on all of the corporate websites.
Is LinkedIn still a thing?
Doing that? Yeah. Yeah. People still use it.
Like, is it still a thing? Yeah. I'm so out of the corporate world.
Yeah.
But maybe that's like an opportunity to like look into LinkedIn and things like that. All right. So I think we're spiraling a little bit,
yeah,
but let's go back to, let's find, we have our notes here. This is a good one. Like who you're meant for. I think we kind of went into that, but like what client you're really meant for. And I think we kind of talked about you're meant for the weddings and the brides, really fill your cup. But I feel like I'm meant for the ones who want to have fun. Like I know that sounds so crazy, but like if you're hiring a mobile bar, you're probably a really cool person.
Yeah.
But I think it's finding those people. And it's funny because I had a client recently and it was the mother of a bride and the bride's best friend found me. And I did her shower. It was a bridal shower. And the mom like had no social media, really did not like even do email that well. And I was corresponding with her. And then when I got there and like she saw my business and she saw like everything, she was like, I just can't believe how amazing this is. And that fills my cup and soul and so much more than anything else when someone just like appreciates the business and it reminds me all the hard work and why I continue to do this. But she would have never found me if her daughter's best friend didn't find me. So it's like, how do I tap into other clients?
I think that gets to be word of mouth.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
If you, like, if that client is like a partier and like has a good time, and if she had like the best time at her wedding with you, then her friends might be kind of the same extroverted type of people. So maybe an idea for you or for some people out there is maybe like some kind of referral or something. Like if you get like $100 off if you're referred from a friend or something, because then that might push people to refer friends that have the same kind of interests.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And another thing that you said that kind of reminded me when we were talking about discover your niche and like settling down in that. So like for me, like I exclusively do weddings and couple related sessions. So mostly weddings and engagement sessions, but I'll do maternity or I'll do proposals or I'll, anything like couple centered. But for weddings, like I feel like recently I've been niching down even further to like barn weddings and backyard weddings and like more of like the rural country kind of stuff versus like the luxury wedding market. So you could narrow yourself down like even further. So if somebody is like a very like old money, like Cape Cod, like kind of luxury family, and they want like a luxury wedding photographer, like light and airy photographer, like that's like not where I'm the most happiest. Even though it's a wedding and I love weddings, I feel like I would be even happier doing like a backyard wedding. So you could even niche yourself down even further and be like luxury wedding mobile bar versus just wedding mobile bar. So that's a little food for thought for people watching.
Do you think that you are getting more of these clientele because that's how you're portraying your photos right now?
I think
what I mean?
so.
Like I think if I was someone who wanted light and airy, like I don't see that in your photos.
Yeah.
I see something, the more rustic side and the more like backyard colors and things like that. And if that's what I wanted, I'm going to book you over that. So I feel like you're doing the right thing because you're showing your clients what you do.
Thank
you know
you.
what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's something that I guess it's working because with second shooting, like, you kind of go anywhere. So I've done some luxury weddings and done a lot of things that I haven't posted, even though they're photos that I love and I'm really proud of. That's not the market that I want to fall into. And the more that you post those things, the more that you do fall into that. So, lately I've been trying to be good about posting the ones that I really feel like my business jived with the most, so that those type of people keep coming back.
And I think it's so important, because when I look at someone's, not even just photography, like mobile bar, let's say, if I'm looking at one that has like a graduation party, and I don't mean to say this in like a negative way, but their page just looks messy, I guess you could say. I feel like I'm not going to want to book them versus someone, and not to toot my own horn, I'm just totally kidding, but someone who, like, there's some mobile bars that just post cocktails, and they're beautiful, but I want to see the trailer. Like, I want to see the service and the product that I'm getting outside of just the drinks. But if you're just posting, like, I'm trying to use like some examples. I'm not doing this the right way, but I don't know. I feel like if your social media looks how your business is run, people are going to book you. Going back to like the I can never say it, being authentic.
Yep.
People want to book you for your photos. People want to book me for the experience they're getting at the bar. Yeah. So we need to continue to show that on social media, because even if they find us on Google, they're somehow going to get to our social media.
Yep.
Like, that's what this world is.
Yeah, they're going to stalk you a little while before they reach out.
Yep. And it's so true. And I feel like, I've said this so many times, but people need to see something 7 times in order for them to like resonate with it and for them to want to book you. And so if they're seeing, 7 different really fun cocktails, and then I throw in like a really cool horse trailer, that could be the icing on the cake. That's like, okay, I have to book this service.
Right.
And same with you. Like, if you show 7 ring pictures, and one of those ring pictures finally is like, oh my God, that looks just like my ring. That's what I want for my wedding. Like, they might want to book you because of that. So I think social media is always going to be a huge aspect to any business.
Yeah. And I think a huge part of that is showing the behind the scenes too. Like, finding your dream client, and like a lot of finding that type of person is them realizing that you are the person for them too, because it's a two-way street. You have to connect, or they have to connect with you just as much as you connect with them. Like, I don't do it often, but like sometimes I have felt like I needed to turn away business and been like, oh, you know what? You would be much better suited for my friend so-and-so. And that's okay. Like, you're okay to be like, oh, they're not like in my niche enough, or like I don't feel like we connected, but like this other person would be great. And
I have a story about that after.
Okay. But you can kind of avoid that process almost the more you post about your behind the scenes and what your business looks like you said, from the back end, and like talking on your stories and posting a reel of you pouring drinks at the trailer and how much fun you are having. Because if they see how much fun you have at your job and how fulfilled you are doing what you're doing, they're more inclined to book with you, and that kind of person is going to be your dream client. I feel like.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think this is going to go into our next question of like, what are some events or clients that you don't take or don't want to take? But I have to tell a really funny story. So we did that big event that you were the photographer at.
Yeah.
And we had all local vendors, and they got to showcase their work. But we had to scout these vendors, and our biggest thing was we wanted to make sure, we didn't have too many multiple of the same vendors, because we really wanted each vendor to be able to shine in their own unique way. But with the catering companies, we wanted to have enough food for the guests that were there, but we didn't want to overstep any caterer in a specific way. There was one caterer and I was in charge of the caterers. There was one caterer who we reached out to in the beginning, and they have amazing work. Like, they're very well established. This might not have been the event for them, because I think it also kind of targeted a little more of a newer clientele, or newer vendors, to really help showcase their business in the local area. So anyway, very long story short, and I'm not going to say any names, but this specific caterer reached out to me, and they're like, okay, well, what am I getting out of this? Like, which is totally a great question. They're spending a lot of money to be a vendor and pay for all the food that they have to pay for and everything like that. And he's like, well, what am I getting out of this? And then started asking me all these questions. And again, all valuable questions, but it was the tone of his voice. It was like, I'm doing all this work for you. Like, what am I? Like, it was just very not the vendor we wanted for this event. And I talked to my partner, Devin, and we kind of like talked about it. And I was like, honestly, I don't think this caterer is going to be a good fit for this event. And we were kind of desperate at this point, because we were getting close to the date. We only had like 2 other caterers who were going to be amazing, but we didn't want all the food to fall on their laps.
Right.
And so we were like, okay, do we just do it and keep going? Like, we know they'll do a great job, or do we say, you know, sorry, this is like not a good fit.
Yeah.
And we decided to do the second. We decided that he wasn't a good fit for us. And we're so happy because we got 2 more caterers. We had the most amazing vendors that were there.
That's good.
And he just wasn't a good fit for the business or for the event. And it's okay to do that. Like, it's okay to not to feel like you can say no to people.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, this is your business. It's your mental health. We all have difficult clients. Like, that's a given in any industry, I would be a difficult client, I'm sure, if someone were to book me or if I were to book someone. And that's okay for people to not want to work with you.
Yeah.
Not everyone is going to connect with everybody else.
Yeah.
But it's hard as a business owner, really hard to A, turn down money, and B, you know, have that difficult conversation with someone, to be like, sorry, we're not a good fit for each other. And maybe I usually use the terms like, sorry, we're booked.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not booked, just because that's like an easy out, I guess.
You don't want to burn a bridge either.
Exactly. You never want to burn a bridge. You never know who's going to know someone. But yeah, it's definitely, so I guess that kind of goes into, you know, like, what are some, because you do weddings, so I don't want to say what are some things you don't enjoy, but I guess maybe you didn't enjoy the family sessions.
Yeah,
I didn't. Side note, Megan and I did family sessions together, and she broke my heart when but I was so proud of you.
I forgot about that.
I know.
We should talk about that.
We should.
I totally forgot about that. Yeah, no, I did a lot of Christmas card photos, and we had met the year before. Well, I guess we had met a few months before that.
Was it that season?
Yeah, well, because we met in July. That was the first time we met. And then we did it in November.
Yeah. Yep.
So like 6 months later or something like that. Yeah. We did mini sessions at a Christmas tree farm, and it was great. I always enjoyed shooting family sessions and like getting the kids to laugh and interact. And I feel like I have a documentary style, which is also probably part of why I felt like family sessions didn't really work for me, because a lot of times they just want like you to sit and smile and cheese like this.
Yeah.
Cheese. And like put it on the mantle and that's it. Like they want to take the photo and go home. They don't really care about
There's no story
the
really
experience,
behind it.
the story. Yeah. And for me at weddings, like I'm documenting all the candids and the details. And I like taking pictures when people aren't looking. Mm-hmm. And for a lot of families, they don't really want that. They don't really care for that. They just want the cheesy photo.
I have to say, one of my favorite pictures you took of my son was his like little Timberland boots, like hanging off the trailer. Oh my God. It's still one of like my favorite pictures.
See, like pictures like that. Yeah. And you loved it. So like, I'm sure there are moms out there that like did love my work because maybe it was different than what most photographers would give them. But I don't know. I enjoyed shooting it, but I felt like any bad feedback I've gotten in my business, it's always been from a soccer mom.
Yep.
Like always. I've never had, knock on wood, never had bad feedback from a bride or from an engaged couple or a maternity session. Like the only bad feedback I've gotten is from moms trying to get a better deal out of me or trying to get their money back or saying that I should have taken the hair tie off of their daughter's wrist. Like these things that like, I don't know. I just felt like I wasn't able to make the moms happy. Yep. And so I was like, if I can't make them happy when I feel like there's nothing I could have done differently, then maybe it's not for me.
But I think that's hard to, like, not everyone's going to realize that. Like, you could have gone in the rabbit hole of how can I make this better? How can I fix this? How can I be the perfect photographer for these moms? But you realize very quickly that, okay, this isn't my thing. And I'm going to go in a direction that fills my cup and makes my heart happy. And that's why you're going to thrive in this business, because you quickly realized where your heart was and where your passion is. And I feel like that's what's really hard, because some people can't do that. They go into this rabbit hole of,
I'm not good enough.
I'll edit the hair tie off and I'll make these pictures perfect. And you'll take hours on hours fixing this one picture, when in reality that wasn't your client, and that wasn't, who you should have been putting your time and effort into.
Yeah, that's true.
But a lot of people can't do that. Like they take it in such a different way, where you did something, like I did something wrong as a photographer or as the bar. But yeah, I'm very lucky. I have not gotten a lot of like negative feedback. there's been like, I'm trying to think of like there's gotta be some. I think I just blanked them out and I'm like, up on to the next client.
You probably like shove it in the back of your mind and you're like, no.
This weekend was a perfect kind of example. I stressed myself out so much, like to the point where I wasn't sleeping. I don't think I even ate all weekend because I was just so overly stressed. I was yelling at my kids more than I usually do. I was very, very unkind to my husband. And he was so helpful. He had to have done, I'm not even kidding, like we live right down the street from Home Depot. He had to have gone to Home Depot like 4 times on Thursday night.
Wow.
In a matter of like 2 hours because we were like, we forgot this. We got the wrong screw. We got the wrong this. And like, he'd be like, okay, back out to Home Depot. His last run, Home Depot closed at 10. His last run was leaving our house at 9:50. And I was like, you got to make it before they close. It was crazy, but I stressed myself out, and I'm a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. And I'm a firm believer that you will make it happen. But I also think I stress myself out so much because I am a perfectionist and I want it to be perfect and I want to make sure I'm not letting anybody down. But yeah, it was hard and the events were fine and they were great.
Yeah, I'm
and
sure they were.
I was talking to one of my bartenders and I was like, I am not a doctor. I am not performing open heart surgery. I'm literally pouring you cocktails. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So I think we just have to remind ourselves that at the end of the day, like, even if you F up on something and you do something wrong, like, nobody's going to notice but you. Literally.
Yeah. You're your biggest critique.
100%.
Yeah, or critic.
100%. Yeah. All right. So our last topic that kind of ends this fun episode, going back to our dream client and really like how to make it easy for your dream client to book you. What are some tips that you think could be
I think
helpful?
It kind of wraps up everything that we already talked about. So finding your dream client, discovering who your dream client is to you, and then marketing to that person. So saying that you're a luxury wedding photographer, saying you're a backyard wedding bartender, being very specific in what you want so that when your dream client is saying, oh, I have a backyard wedding, let me look up mobile bars, or let me look up backyard or farm vibe bars, and they're going to see your horse trailer and be like, oh, she's perfect. So I think making it as easy for that person as possible. So hashtagging related things to your business. So I sometimes hashtag like backyard wedding photographer or like Texas wedding photographer or something like that, because if it's somebody locally, they might want like a Western style photographer and might even fly somebody out. But if they could see that I have that style and I'm in this area, then they're going to go for me. So I think making that as easy for people to find you is important, and then making it as easy for them to feel reassured that you're the right person. Mm-hmm. So maybe your pinned post on your Instagram is steps on how to book with you, or maybe it's your favorite piece of work. Maybe you had like your most favorite venue and you were like, oh, I love working here. If I post the venue and I pin it to my post, then like maybe a bride who has that venue, that's going to be one of the first pictures she sees of your bar. Mm-hmm. And she's going to be like, oh, wow, that's my venue. This is meant to be. So I think giving people those meant to be kind of moments where you're marketing to exactly what that person's looking for, it's going to be the right fit. So I think making it as easy for them to find you, and then making it as easy for them to book you. So making everything really easy with your direct links, like having your link in your bio for your website, mm-hmm. and then steps to book on your website, like front and center. All of your policies may be laid out, or your packages, what you offer. Like, answer all the questions that you can think of they would ask you on your website, so that you don't have to do a ton of back and forth. They can see what they want, and if it's not the right person, they'll leave and they're not your dream client. It kind of weeds out the people that are meant for you.
I totally agree with that. And 2 questions. One, so link in bio. Do you feel that it's most important to have your website, or do you think it's good to have a link tree and have some links from there?
I don't know. For the longest time, I just had my website, and I had everything that I needed people to find like linked on my website. So I had my TikTok on my website, my Facebook on my website, my Pinterest on my website, everything. But recently I've been doing some other things that are not as related to my clients. Like, I have an Amazon storefront of all my photography gear. I'm doing a networking event for photographers. Like, potential clients don't need to see that, and therefore I feel like I don't want it on my website because it's meant for photographers, and photographers aren't really like looking at my website. It's potential clients. So I
know.
do have a link tree now, and for the podcast too. Like
Yep,
this isn't
I
for
know.
couples.
No.
This isn't for brides.
No.
This isn't for clients. This is for other people like us that do what we do or want to do what we do. So I did start a link tree,
Yeah.
but the first one on my link tree is my website.
Your website, yeah, me too. So I have a link tree too, but I have heard recently that if your website is directly linked to your link in bio, you get more like traction to your website.
I think
and
so.
like I think it's called like the SEO is like more bumped up in Google or whatever it may be. But I've also heard that, so something you said like backyard wedding or backyard wedding bar or whatever, if you have those terms on your website, Google reads your website and goes into like, so my website says Connecticut mobile bar, Connecticut bartender, Connecticut whatever, mobile bartending in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Like I've tried to use that so many times so that when someone types in anything on Google, I'm going to be one of the first ones that come up because they're typing in a verbiage that is on my website.
Right.
That's really important when you're marketing to your customers. Like whatever you think they're going to search on Google is the words that should be used on your website.
Yeah.
And don't like overuse them. Don't say like, I'm a Connecticut mobile bar and I bartend in Connecticut. Like don't go crazy about it, but just make sure that it's professionally written where if someone is going to type in Connecticut mobile bar, it's on your website.
Yeah, and on multiple pages.
Yes.
Like on your homepage, you can have a blurb with your about, and that can say CT bartender or something. And then you can have like an about page that's like it's like a different page on it, and you can say like Connecticut mobile bar or whatever.
Yep.
And same with anybody else. Like you could say luxury wedding photographer on your homepage, and then on your about page you can be like specializing in Westport, Greenwich, Fairfield. Like you can make it a little bit different, but still mean the same thing.
Yeah, I found that was really interesting because at first I always had, obviously, like I am a Connecticut mobile bar, so I always had it on my website. But when I started diving into talking to people more and really had to like market myself, they were like, you need to add more words on your website that people are going to search for in Google.
Yeah.
And I think it's definitely helped with the traction into my like Google account to get higher into like the first page or second page or whatever. But yeah, I think it's so important just to like really make that experience so easy. And I know that we've talked about this before on the podcast, but you want to make it so user friendly for your client to book you. Like they should go to your website, know who you are, they should go to your social media and know who you are first, because that's mostly how people find us. Then they should be able to easily find your website. Then they should be able to easily go to your website and be like, okay, this is how I contact them. Right. Then once that all happens, you should have a really smooth transition on the response time. I know we're in busy season right now where our response time is a little lagging. But I think, if they're reaching out to you, they're reaching out to other vendors as well.
I mean, recently I've had a couple of like really good inquiries like back to back, like last past weekend. Yeah. I had like one on Thursday, one on Friday, 2 on Saturday. And it was like all of these people like out of the blue. But I think it depends on what you're posting. Like at that day, I had posted behind the scenes of like, I think I had last weekend. I don't know if I had 2 or 3 weddings. I forget. But I was shooting a lot and I posted a lot about it. And therefore got a lot of leads. So the more that you post about what you're doing and they see you in action, like the more inclined they're going to be to reach out. But something that you said reminded me, and now I'm forgetting it, what I was going to say.
Well, I have to say off of that too.
What was I going to say?
When I post on Facebook in like a Facebook group, I always get a lead. Multiple sometimes.
That's good.
So I forget, but like I forget to do that when I'm crazy.
Yeah.
So am I sparring something that you were going to talk about?
I was going to say, I was going to say, back to the link tree. And you were saying like, make a smooth process for your client, like as easy as possible. Like put the link right there and, make everything that they read like super easy and they can find your contact form like super quick. I feel like the link tree gets in the way of that.
I know.
Like at my heart and my soul, like when I was starting out like the past 2 years, I was always like, if I would see a photographer with a link tree, I'd be like, ugh. Because sometimes I do stalk other photographers' websites.
Oh, hello.
Like I'll see their Instagram and be like,
check out
their work is fantastic. Like I need to see what their website looks like, because in the future I'd like to get my website like professionally refreshed. Like I feel like I have a really good basis that I did by myself, but it could look a little bit more professional. So sometimes I like scope out other people's just to see if I can pick up any ideas. But anytime I saw somebody with a link tree, I'd always be like, ugh.
I know. I feel
And
the
now
same
I
way.
have one, and
No.
I'm like, ugh. But I feel like I don't know how else I can separate the things, because I have so many links for photographers that I want to see and other small businesses that I feel like could see, but I don't want it to be off-putting to potential clients, because
Yeah,
for me, I feel like it is.
I don't think stuff like that should be on your website. I think your website should solely be for a customer to
I
book
think
you.
so too. But is the link tree, like, I have the podcast tagged in my bio, like the
So do I.
account.
So do I.
So maybe I don't need to put it in my link tree if it's tagged.
Right, but right now you're doing a photographer, branding thing. How are they going to find that?
That's also tagged. We just made an account for that. So that's tagged, and that has the link to it on that page. But then that makes it harder for people to find that too, because instead of tapping the link in my bio and my link tree, they have to go to a separate account and tap on that link tree to find the tickets.
I think Linktree is...
It's helpful, but
yeah,
I do.
I really do. And honestly, if people think ours is right now, they're probably going to have one in a few months. So
yeah, that's true. I do feel a little bit of a hypocrite.
I know. I do too, because I feel the same way. Even when I was like back to doing like Beauty Counter and doing consulting,
right.
I would see all these consultants have like all these, the link tree and then all these links to things. But if you look at like bloggers, for example, like they have so many different places that they need their potential customer to go to. So they need that. I think it's kind of a standard now. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll have to do a
maybe.
Poll on our site and
We should.
do you hate our link trees?
Link tree advice.
Link tree advice. Yeah, but I really do think it's going back to just making the experience easy. Yeah. I think that's the key. Like,
and I feel like you and I have pretty good websites though. Yeah. So I think going to the link tree,
which is funny because I don't like mine either. So
I think going to like my link tree and clicking on my website, and then I think my website's pretty good, but like hopefully it is. And if people are like, oh, okay, like maybe that redeems me a little bit for having the link tree. I
feel like we should have like our friends go on our websites and like be a customer and give us like feedback. I've never done that before.
Oh, I do that. I've done that for myself. Like,
but we're
with
looking
a personal
at it all
email.
the day.
Yeah, that's
all day.
true. That's true.
Like having someone just like look at it and go be a customer and be like, okay, is this an easy? Especially, I have like two friends in mind who are my best friends, and they're like the biggest critics. So they'll be like, nope, this doesn't work.
We should do that.
We should do that. We should do that and ask about link trees.
Yeah.
All right, we're going in a spiral as we usually do. I digress. But yeah, I just end of this conversation is basically just make it very easy for the customer. Yeah. So find your dream customer, find your niche for your business, and make sure that you're passionate about it, because if you're not passionate about your business, you're not going to be successful. And you live, breathe, sometimes don't eat, and like sometimes don't sleep either with this business. Right. And if you're not like, if I did everything I did this past weekend and I woke up on Monday and I was like, I regret all of that, like I would be so miserable.
Yeah, you have to love what you're doing.
You have to love what you're doing.
And that's the importance of discovering your niche. Like finding out what you love and what you feel like you do really well makes it not work anymore. And maybe the not eating, not sleeping will make you resent it and will make you burn out, and make you feel like it's work. This was an exception
weekend, I have to say.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I woke up Monday and I was so proud of myself. Yeah. And I was like, damn, like I did this. Yeah. But it wouldn't have been that outcome if the events didn't go well, if I didn't stress myself out about the events.
But if they weren't events that you felt passionate about, you maybe would not feel that proud. You would maybe just feel resentment. Yep.
Oh, no. And my clients this past weekend, at the end of the night, they came up to us. They're like, you guys made the event. You made our wedding special.
That's great.
That's what makes it all worth it. And I think that if you're not getting that, you need to reevaluate the business, because you can get that. You can have that satisfaction. You should have that satisfaction. And if you're not having it, you need to like figure out another outlet. Yep. You can stay in the same industry, in the same business, but just find a different way. Yeah. Because there's, you found it with not wanting to do family photos.
Right. Yeah. And a telltale sign is whether you want to go to work or not. Yep. Like every time I would book a family session, I'd be like excited because I was new to photography and everything was exciting and new. But by the time the session would actually roll around, I'd be like, oh, I have to pack my backpack. Oh, I have to go to the session. Oh, I don't really want to do that. And then I'd get there and it would be fine. And I would still love the photos and it would be great. But now with weddings, I'm like excited to pack my backpack and excited to go, and not typically dreading it unless I'm really, really tired. But
I think I didn't really talk about like what client I don't like. There's no client I don't like. I've realized that if I do anything over an hour from Trumbull, Connecticut, I get really angry that I booked it because it's such a travel time for me. So I've really learned that unless it like is like my bride on Friday was literally the sweetest human. We need more people like her in this world. Like she was just the nicest, kindest. Really funny story before we end. I have these hubcaps now on my trailer and they don't fit. Like I have to put them on when I get there and take them off when I leave. And it's like not part of my routine right now yet.
Yeah.
And I forgot to take them off. My freaking bride is running like up to my truck. I'm at like the end of her driveway with her dress, like her big bustle dress, like in her hand. And she's like, Jen, did you forget your hubcaps? And the groom like has the hubcaps like following her behind. And I'm like, you just left your wedding to give me my hubcaps back.
That's
like
so great.
What? But like funny story. But like that just shows like she appreciated me and she did that because she didn't want me to forget my freaking hubcaps.
Yeah.
But if you're not fulfilled after whatever you're doing, I always said that, and even when I was in corporate, that if I was waking up and not wanting to go to work, I needed to do something else. And there was 2 times that I did that. I left. I was at the Hyatt in Greenwich one time. I left and I went to the Hilton, and I went back to the Hyatt because I didn't like the Hilton. Like you have to find your passion and find where you're going to succeed every day. Yeah, and you will. Everybody will. You just it's not easy.
It takes some time, but the best thing that you can do is try out it all. You know, don't be scared to take a chance and be like, I don't know if family sessions are right for me. That's okay. Try it anyway and see if you're proven wrong or see if you were right. That's my advice.
Yay.
Anyway.
Well, thanks for listening again. You can find us on, where can they find us?
On Instagram, shootyourshot.pod. Same with TikTok. And we do have a Facebook. I don't know if there's
much on it. We do have a Facebook. No, we need to, Jen needs to get better on that.
But we're pretty good on Instagram and TikTok. So.
Yeah, and we are on YouTube if you want to watch us live. And
Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Amazon.
All the things. Well, and also if you guys have any topics that you want us to talk about, we do have a list. We have some upcoming speakers, but if you're ever interested in becoming a speaker and you're in the wedding/event industry, or if you know someone, definitely let us know because we're excited to keep growing. We're still doing bi-weekly, especially right now with crazy season. But down the road, who knows? Maybe we could
in the
do
off
weekly.
Season, we could do weekly. I think next week we're going to be talking about turning your side hustle into a full-time small business, seeing if entrepreneurship is right for you or what kind of skills we feel like you need to have, like, because I think like an entrepreneur is a certain type of person, but not to say that you can't teach yourself to have those skills. So we're going to be talking about like all of the skills that we feel like are important to have, past work experience versus what you need training in and what you don't. So that'll be next time.
That's going to be a good episode.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for listening in, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Cheers.